Hello there people, this is Bruce Be Cool or nintenbruce here, back again with another deck recipe for Yu-Gi-Oh! On the April 2014 ban list format. And today I have my locked box of industry deck. Super fun deck to play with, but besides being fun, it can hold its own against some top tier decks as well, which is nice. It's all about going for this lovely monster here, Digvorzhak, King of Heavy Industry. You know, it's not the primary goal, but having a 3200 beat stick out with the chance of blowing up to 3 cards of your opponents, it's very game changing indeed. And besides that, there's other little twists to the deck, but I'll go through them momentarily. I suppose I'll go through the little spiel like I usually do. As per usual, I'll go through the monsters, then the spells and traps, as well as cover off a few combos in between. So starting off, we have Hieratic, Seal of the Sun Dragon, Overlord. I only run 2 because 3 has become very cumbersome in this deck, and even still there's quite a bit you can do with 2. 0 attack, 0 defense. Obviously you're not going to be tribute summoning with it unless you were really desperate for a creature swap, but otherwise you're going to use it for fodder, whether it be Tragoedia using its effect or fodder for 1/1. We then have 2 very important players here, Labyrinth Wall and Millennium Shield, both 0 attack and 3000 defense. Touching on the defense, again, very hard for opponents to go over, so even this sitting on the field can buy you a lot of time, which is amazing. I never thought that would happen in this format, but it's amazing how many decks it can stall. So like I say, feel free to go for the tribute set, really surprise your opponent there. But obviously it's all about the level 5 Exceed summoning spam, and that's where this guy comes in, Box of Friends. Its deal is when it's destroyed by battle or by card effect, you special summon out 2 monsters, with 2 normal monsters rather, with different names of either 0 attack or 0 defense. That's usually going to be Labyrinth Wall and Millennium Shield in combination, and by the end of your next end phase you'd have to have done something with them, otherwise they blow up. So the perfect scenario is if your opponent blows it up, and then you've got your entire turn to mess around with your with your monsters practically. Other than that, Dndylion. Oh, actually one thing I'll touch on, Box of Friends, if your opponent destroys by a battle, you can't use Inferno Reckless Summon, but anything else is good game. Dndylion, for that stalling plus tokens help with Labyrinth Wall and Millennium Shield. Debris Dragon, if you wanted that emergency Black Rose Dragon once Dndylion is in the grave. Also, it can pull out Labyrinth Wall, Millennium Shield and the Seal of the Sun Dragon, and bearing in mind you can then use Inferno Reckless Summon if you wanted, and even still use Creature Swap to give your opponent the Debris Dragon if you're going Exceed Summon crazy. 3 Maxx. I did run the Maxx in the side deck at one stage, but it turns out I've had to change them in every game, and since I've main decked them, they've been absolutely amazing. So definitely put at least 2 in the main deck if you're going to change it around a bit. 2-star drawing, I found 3 again cumbersome. You know, 1600 attack isn't amazing, but its effect is amazing. So you can treat it as a level 5 monster if you want, and on top of that, whether it be a level 4 or a level 5 Exceed summon, you get to draw a card once the summon is successful. Absolutely brilliant. We then have 2 Tragoedia, so if your hand's a bit cloggy with the Labyrinth Walls, Millennium Shields, and well, any normal monster for that matter, this is going to gain attack substantially from it, and on top of that you're going to be using its other 2 effects fairly frequently, so copying the graveyard, whether it's level 5 or level 8 or level 4, doing a lot of discarding with monsters as well, and gaining control of your opponent's monsters. So the thing to say straight away is the only levels you're missing are level 7 and level 6. You've got everything else, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 8. I won't say level 9 because that's, you know, an awkward monster to shove into any deck there. But yeah, you're going to be using its effects a lot, so definitely run 2 of these. And then just for kicks, 1 Zombowwow. So this is mainly for Box of Friends. Very similar effects in terms of being destroyed by card effect or battle. When it does, you special summon the Box of Friends, and at the end of your next phase, or during the end of your next phase, you destroy that Box of Friends, and then its effect kicks in with Labyrinth Wall, Millennium Shield, etc. But bearing in mind, it doesn't go, okay, destroy Box of Friends and then immediately destroy these guys. You know, it's not that cruel. And also, remember you can attack with this and gain 500 attack permanently. It's an interesting card to say the least, a nice little surprise anyway. Going into the spells, 1 creature swap, very lovely, putting a 0 attacker over to your opponent's side of the field, or something really weak anyway. especially with Box of Friends, because you're then going to gain its effect. Dark Hole, Foolish Burial, so put the monster in that you want to Inferno Reckless Summon or Call of the Haunt, etc, etc. Speaking of which, Inferno Reckless Summon, I've gone over this a few times in decks, but for those that don't know about it, when you special summon a monster of 1500 attack or less, and your opponent has a face-up monster on their side of the field at least, then you special summon as many of that monster as possible, and your opponent selects any monsters that they have and special summon as many as possible. So the ideal situation is to do your special summon when your opponent has an XYZ monster or a Synchro monster, because obviously they're not going to be played that often, and they'll be left with, well, no benefit from this card. Definitely run 3 though, because you're going to want to spam and get Digvorzhak out as quick as possible. Got a 1-for-1, so obviously sacrifice a useless monster in your hand to bring out Box of Friends. 3 Pot of Duality, might seem quite contradictory to the deck rather, but the special summoning part isn't so bad. Usually you'll be looking through your deck with Pot of Duality, get Box of Friends, set it, and then that's it. Let your opponent do the special summoning for you. 2 Silent Doom as well, very very nice with Inferno Reckless Summon with Labyrinth Wall, Millennium Shield, or the Hieratic Seal. But even if you don't have Inferno Reckless Summon and you're in a bit of a bind, get Labyrinth Wall and Millennium Shield out in defense mode. It's perfect. Again, a lot of people have trouble getting over 3000 defense. So, on the front of using this with Inferno Reckless Summon, you've also got Call of the Haunted, now leaning into the traps, but also this is quite nice for getting out Star Drawing, and again getting that extra draw with the Exceed Summon. Remember, you can't Inferno Reckless Summon with Star Drawing though, it's got 1600 attack. Got 1 Compulse, 1 Mirror Force, 1 Torrential Tribute, and then I'm preferring the 2 Trap Stuns over the 2 Mirror Forces. Again, if you're going to go Exceed Summon crazy, then the Trap Stuns ensure that you can pull it off, and when you are pulling off the rank 5 summons, you can blow up a lot of your opponent's back row. Now also remember, you can chain this to your opponent's card, so if you're quite confident they don't have a Solemn or Spell Speed 3 card, then feel free to do your summon, let them use up a card, you trap stun it, your opponent can't reply so they've used up a card, and then you blow up their back row. It's a beautiful beautiful card. I definitely main deck this over MST. Going into the extra deck now, that Emergency Black Rose Dragon. The 2 level 4s only run 2, number 101 Silent Honor Arc and Daigusto Emeral to put monsters back into deck and draw a card. We then have the big beastie Digvorzhak, King of Heavy Industry. You'll be getting it out fairly often, don't worry about the 3 level 5 monsters you have to use, and its effect, you mill 3 of your opponent's cards from the top of the deck, and if any of them are monsters, you get to blow up as many of your opponent's cards as possible from them equaling the monsters that you've discarded. So if you get rid of 3 monsters from the opponent's deck, you can blow up to 3 cards. So it's not a restrictive effect either. If your opponent only has 1 card and you mill 3 monsters, you still get to blow up just that 1 card. And again, 3200 attack is a big monster to try and jump over. Very unlikely your opponent is going to jump over it anytime soon. And usually they'll just be setting the traps, to which your next turn you just blow them up anyway. We also have 2 Wind Up Arsenal with Zenmaioh. Absolutely love this card. Its effect is a bit restrictive, where you have to target 2 set cards on the field. But again, only requires 2 level 5 monsters, is 2600 attack, and blowing up your opponent's back row is what it's all about. We then have 1 Tiras, Keeper of Genesis, very nice effect where it can't be destroyed by card effects while it has a material, and if it does a successful attack, then you get to blow up an opponent's card at the end of the battle phase with it. Brilliant card there. 1 Volcasaurus as well, blow up an opponent's face-up monster and they take the attack damage as well, although you can't attack with it afterwards. And then if you run out of materials with any of these, well, maybe not Digvorzhak, but feel free to go into Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger, and that has bleeding damage. I only run 1 of these because you're going to be using these effects quite a bit in all honesty, and a lot of them actually match up to the attack, like 2600. But yeah, he's there especially for Volcasaurus, or especially if your opponent is trying to set cards and, you know, hope to stall you out. Going into the rank 8 summons now. 1 Felgrand the Divine Dragon Knight to negate those nasty effects. 1 Hieratic Sun Dragon Overlord of Heliopolis. Absolutely love this card in this deck, because especially if you've got a jammed up hand with Labyrinth Walls and whatnot, then you discard them to the graveyard, it's no skin off your nose, and you get to blow up your opponent's cards. Brilliant little Exceed summon this one. Thundering Dragon, this one is a questionable one that you can take out, to be fair. It does require these two, has to be the rank 8 normal or level 8 normal monsters, but its effect has been devastating and I actually prefer this. But it's no skin if you change, no skin off my nose if you change it around. One Tachyon Dragon, absolutely love this card for negating effects at the battle phase, especially if your opponent runs things like Beals, and then you can run over it with Digvorzhak. And then Neon Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon, again this one is one of those questionable cards, but I have got it out before. It's mainly there as a beat stick, and especially if your opponent is running XYZ monsters. Getting 3 level 8s is easy even though you've got 2 of these. Remember you've got the Tragoedia as well. Going into the side deck now, I've actually thought about this one quite a lot. So we've got the 3rd Hieratic Seal of the Sun Dragon Overlord, in conjunction with Grand Soil, the Elemental Lord, because now that you're going to be running 4 level 8 monsters, you can put in the trade-in that's here. Got 2 Effect Veilers. Oh, on the front of Grand Soil as well, remember it's a level 8 monster, so the monster you're going to special summon with it would preferably be level 8, but do what you will. And remember, you've got more than enough control of the graveyard here with the Earths going in and out with Inferno Reckless Summon. Got 1 Honest, especially handy with Box of Friends, so Box of Friends could take out a monster and then you get its effect as well. Bearing in mind a lot of the Exceed monsters, especially rank 8, are light as well, so I definitely think this is a fancy one for the side deck. 1 Book of Moon, another creature swap if your opponent is playing those frustrating monsters. 2 MST if your opponent isn't that fussed about traps or is running Royal Decrees. We've already got covered the trade in there. Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 Breakthrough Skill, so again if your opponent isn't fussed about traps but they have more troublesome effect monsters, then trade out the trap stuns for 2 of these. 1 Dimensional Prison and 1 Solemn Warning. And that, guys, is the Locked Box of Industry deck. So again, feel free to play around with it. I believe the main deck is as funky as it can be, and yes, you can mess about with the extra deck to your liking. I prefer this, but it's up to you what you want to do. And yeah, definitely give it a go, guys. It is so much fun, and it's amazing the amount of conversation it brings out with other duelists, you know, whether they're playing tier 1 decks or not. So give it a go, guys. Let us know your comments and thoughts, whether you give it a try or you just want to give your general thoughts about it. And until next time, you guys take care, and I will see you again soon.